Hello, welcome back. Today we'll be having lesson 2. So last week we have done the first lesson. We have learned about the birth of Jesus Christ as well as the angels appearing to the shepherds. Okay, today we'll be continuing chapter 2. We will be finishing the entire bahagian chapter 2. Ada 2 cerita juga hari ini, tetapi hari ini kita bermula dengan satu quiz dulu, okay? Kita akan lihat di Pristine World, kita ada quiz. Today I'll be only using the Malay version for this quiz. I'll choose the Malay one, but if you are interested, you can also log in and use the English one, okay? Jadi kita lihat dulu menggunakan kita punya mana sudah ini? Ini kah? Bukan. Saya akan pergi kepada Google Chrome. Yes. Jadi lihat kepada sini, ini dia punya website, Pristine World. So if you want to check it out yourself, you can use it as well. We'll be using this one, okay? This one, the Panoramic Study Tour of the Gospel of Luke. And got 3 languages. English, Chinese, as well as BM. Today we'll only be doing the BM one. Okay, hari ini kita menggunakan BM saja. Jadi untuk semua student, kamu akan menjawab 10 soalan quiz. Okay, dalam 10 soalan quiz ini, kamu akan kira skor masing-masing, tengok berapa yang kamu boleh dapat betul. Okay, daripada 10 soalan ini. Berapa yang kamu akan dapat betul, oke? Okay? Kamu kira markah sendiri. Oke, okay, kita akan melihat kepada cerita bab 2, gabungan daripada cerita minggu lalu, lesson 1, dan juga cerita yang akan kita pelajari hari ini. Oke, okay? Kita akan tes. Alright, saya tutup dulu ini. Alright, mari kita tengok soalan pertama. Mengapakah Yusuf bercadang untuk memutuskan pertunangannya dengan Maria secara diam-diam? Soalan ini sebenarnya bukan soalan daripada Lukas, tetapi soalan daripada Matius. Oke, jadi tidak apa, kita coba juga. Jadi kenapakah Yusuf mau memutuskan pertunangannya, tetapi caranya ialah secara diam-diam. Jadi soalannya ialah kenapa dia mau buat secara diam-diam. Mari kita lihat. Adakah disebabkan dia tidak ingin menimbulkan kekacauan? Oke, jadi ini A. Oke, siapa fikirkan ini jawabannya A? Yang B, dia tidak mahu mengaibkan Maria di hadapan orang ramai. Dia tidak mau memalukan Maria. Oke, ini B. C, dia mendapat arahan untuk melakukannya melalui mimpi. Dalam mimpinya dia mendapat arahan supaya untuk memutuskan pertunangannya secara diam-diam. Ini C ya. Untuk D, dia tidak amat pasti dengan tindakannya. Dia kurang pasti, dia tidak tahu, jadi disebabkan dia tidak pasti, maka dia buat secara diam-diam. E, jawapan tidak ada di dalam senarai ini. Maksudnya jawaban adalah selain daripada A, B, C, D. Oke? Yang kata jawaban A, angkat tangan. Oke, yang katakan jawabannya B, angkat tangan. Yang katakan jawabannya C, angkat tangan. Yang pilih D, angkat tangan. Dan yang last kali, yang pilih E, angkat tangan. Oke, mari kita lihat. Sebenarnya jawabannya ialah sebab dia tidak ingin memalukan Maria di hadapan orang ramai. Boleh baca di Matius, okay? Alright, our answer is correct. Jadi yang memilih jawapan B itu Tania. Berikan tepukan. Oke, soalan kedua. Dalam soalan kedua ini kita akan lihat pula. Soalan kedua, bilakah malaikat Tuhan muncul dalam mimpi Yusuf pada kali pertamanya? Oke, kali pertama ada malaikat muncul dalam mimpi dan apa yang dilakukan dan bilakah masa ini? Oke, jadi kita lihat jawabannya. Ketika dia sudah memutuskan pertunangan dengan Maria secara diam-diam. Maksudnya mimpi ini terjadi selepas dia sudah putuskan pertunangan itu. Ini A. B. Tiada dalam senarai. Oke, jadi nanti bagi yang lihat jawabannya tiada dalam senarai, jawabannya ialah B lah. Oke. C. Ketika dia sibuk bekerja, ketika dia sedang buat kerja, dan pada waktu itu dia ternampak malaikat ini muncul di hadapannya. Oke, ketika dia sedang bekerja. D. Ketika dia bercadang untuk memutuskan pertunangan dengan Maria secara diam-diam. Apa perbezaan E dengan D? E, dia sudah putuskan pertunangan. D, sebelum dia putus pertunangan, pada waktu dia membuat keputusan saja. Oke, ini sebelum. Oke, ini D. Dan E, ketika dia membuat persiapan untuk pergi ke Bethlehem. Oke, jadi A, B, C, D, E. Oke, yang pilih E angkat tangan. Yang pilih B angkat tangan. Yang pilih C angkat tangan. Yang pilih D angkat tangan. Dan yang pilih E angkat tangan. Oke, mari kita melihat jawaban yang betul ialah D. Alright, jawaban yang betul ialah ketika Yusuf membuat keputusan untuk memutuskan pertunangan itu, pada masa itu dia bermimpi dan malaikat itu katakan jangan putuskan pertunangan itu disebabkan dia bukan tidak setia, Maria bukan tidak setia, tetapi anak Maria itu adalah anak Tuhan. Wow. Baiklah, soalan ketiga. Yusuf merupakan keturunan seorang raja Israel. Siapakah raja Israel itu? Semua dalam senarai. Oke, bila kita nampak jawaban ini, kalau lebih daripada senarai di sini namanya, jadi jawabannya ini. Oke. Yang kedua, B, Yosea. Ini Josiah lah, Yosea. Dan ketiga, C, Daud. Oke, kita semua tahu ini memang betul. Oke, kita tahu Yusuf keturunan Raja Daud, jadi jawabannya mesti ada Daud lah. D, tiada dalam senarai, ini garanti salah sudah ini, jangan pilih ya. Jadi keputusan kita sekarang ialah, selain Daud, adakah Yosia dan Salomo? Salomo ialah Solomon lah. Salomo itu juga merupakan dia punya keturunan dari Yusuf merupakan keturunan Salomo dan Yosia. Jadi kalau ini, teks ini sebenarnya sama juga tadi, bukan di Lukas, tetapi dia daripada Matius. Matius menyenaraikan nama raja-raja yang merupakan semua keturunan Yusuf, bukan keturunan, semua nenek moyang dia. Jadi soalannya ialah, Daud saja yang betul, ataupun semua dalam senarai. Semua dalam senarai maksudnya Yosia, Daud, Salomo, ketiga-tiganya dalam senarai. Jadi dua pilihan saja bagi kamu. Oke, siapa pilih Daud sahaja, angkat tangan. Daud sahaja. Siapa pilih Daud, Salomo, dan Yosia? Maksudnya semua dalam senarai. Angkat tangan. Oke, jawaban ini agak susah sedikit. Sebenarnya kita tahu jawabannya adalah ketiga-tiganya. Oke, kalau lihat kepada Matius adalah nama tiga orang ini. Oke. Alright, setakat ini daripada 3 soalan, berapa sudah kamu betul? Oke, siapa dapat semuanya betul? Angkat tangan. Tania. Oh, ini hebat ini kan? Oke, mari kita sambung. Soalan 4. Soalan 4. Yusuf diberitahu melalui mimpi untuk menamakan bayi yang bakal dilahirkan oleh Maria Yesus. Kenapa Yesus? Kita lihat kenapa Yesus dipilih sebagai nama. E, tiada dalam senarai. B, Yesus sebab dia akan membebaskan bangsanya daripada Herodes serta pemerintah asing. Yesus disebabkan dia akan membawa Israel untuk merdeka daripada pemerintahan Roma. Oke, Herodes. Oke, mereka memang tidak suka dijajah. Oke, ini jawaban B. C. Yesus disebabkan dia akan menyelamatkan manusia daripada dosa-dosa mereka. Ini disebabkan Yesus akan menyelamatkan kita daripada dosa. D. Yesus dipilih sebagai nama karena dia akan menjadi wira yang perkasa. Jadi Yesus bermaksud wira yang perkasa. Yang terakhir I disebabkan dia akan membantu menewaskan Roma. Perbezaan B dengan I, B adalah terhad kepada daerah Yudea. Okay, Yudea saja sebab Herodes menjadi raja untuk Yudea, Samaria, Galilea dan tempatnya itu. Okay, jadi ini kawasan lebih kecil. Yang I ini menewaskan empire, segalanya daripada Roma. Oke, jadi ini keseluruhannya kawasan, ini bangsa mereka sahaja. Oke, siapa pilih E angkat tangan? Siapa pilih B angkat tangan? Siapa pilih C angkat tangan? Siapa pilih D angkat tangan? Siapa pilih E angkat tangan? Apakah jawapan yang akan kita lihat? Jawapannya ialah inilah kan. Yesus akan menyelamatkan manusia daripada dosa mereka. Yesus itu penyelamat. Oke, good. Continue. Soalan 5. Alright, ini kita tahu sebab kita sudah belajar daripada lesson 1 minggu lepas. Apakah perkataan pertama yang diucapkan oleh malaikat Tuhan kepada para gembala? Ini malaikat Tuhan seorang saja, seorang malaikat. Oke, apa yang dikatakannya? Tiada dalam senarai. Yang B, jangan takut. Perkataan pertama ya. C, aku membawa berita gembira. D, kemuliaan bagi Tuhan di tempat maha tinggi. Dan E, kamu akan menemui bayi di dalam palung. Ini agak susah sedikit, cuma kita kena fikir perkataan pertama yang diucapkan oleh malaikat itu. Oke, mari sedia angkat tangan ya. E angkat tangan. B angkat tangan. Yang C angkat tangan. Yang D angkat tangan. Yang I angkat tangan. Jawapannya agak dekat sebab memang banyak yang disebut. Jawapannya ialah jangan takut sebab gembala itu sangat takut. Masih ingat lagi kan? Tanya kepada yang betul. Tepuk tangan. Mari kita lihat soalan seterusnya, soalan 6. Berapakah malaikat yang muncul di hadapan para gembala untuk menyanyikan pujian? Ini menyanyikan pujian. Tadi itu memberi message lah. Oke, yang ini kali kedua sudah ini. Bukan kali kedua lah, yang sambungannya. Menyanyikan pujian bagi Tuhan. Oke, E, satu angkatan yang besar. B, 10.000 malaikat. C, 12 malaikat. D, 200 malaikat. Dan E, 1 malaikat untuk menyanyikan pujian. Oke, sedia jawaban kamu? Angkat tangan bagi yang E. Yang B angkat tangan. Yang C angkat tangan. Yang D angkat tangan. Yang E angkat tangan. Jawabannya ialah tidak terkira sehingga satu angkatan yang besar. Oke, bagi yang tidak ingat, ini sudah kita pelajari minggu lepas ya. Oke, tanya kepada yang betul. Soalan 7. Seterusnya, di manakah tempat Yesus dilahirkan? Ini agak senang kan? Di manakah tempat Yesus dilahirkan? Jadi E, Yerusalem. B, tiada dalam senarai. C, Nazaret. D, Bethlehem. I, Yudea. Oke, mari kita pilih. Yang pilih E angkat tangan. Yang pilih B angkat tangan. Yang pilih C angkat tangan. Yang pilih D angkat tangan. Dan yang pilih I angkat tangan. Jawabannya ialah Bethlehem. Ini agak susah sebab Yudea pun betul, cuma tempat yang Yesus dilahirkan merujuk kepada makin spesifik, makin betul. Maksudnya ini adalah nama kota itu. Yudea adalah nama kawasan itu. Contohnya Tamporoli. Dan kawasannya Tuaran. Begitulah kan. Jadi yang betul jawabannya ialah Bethlehem. Nazaret tempat dia membesar. Yerusalem adalah kota utama. Jawabannya Bethlehem. Saya rasa yang itu ramai orang yang dapat betul. Oke, soalan nomor 8 sudah. Soalan nomor 8. Pada waktu Maria dan Yusuf membawa Yesus ke bait suci untuk dipersembahkan, siapakah yang mendapat pengetahuan daripada Roh Kudus bahwa Yesus adalah Kristus yang dinubuatkan dalam kitab suci? Yang ini kita akan belajar hari ini, tapi kita tes dulu kamu punya Bible knowledge, sama ada kamu sudah tahu atau tidak tahu. Oke, pada waktu Maria dan Yusuf membawa Yesus ke bait suci. Oke, ini waktu dia masih belum 1 tahun apabila dia dilahirkan. Oke, siapa nama orang itu yang mendapat pengetahuan daripada Roh Kudus bahwa Yesus adalah Kristus? Wow. Oke, tiada dalam senarai di sini. B, Ananias. Ananias kah orang dia? C, seorang lelaki tua yang bernama Simeon. D, imam yang bertugas untuk membakar korban persembahan pada hari itu. Oh, dan E, seorang imam besar. Pada setiap waktunya di Yerusalem, hanya ada seorang imam besar saja. Ada ramai imam, tetapi seorang saja yang menjadi imam besar. Oke, kecuali satu case nanti yang kita lihat kenapa ada 2 orang imam besar disebut. Oke, bila kita sampai waktu di Lukas nanti itu kita lihat. Oke, tapi sekarang ini apakah jawabannya? Pilih. Yang pilih E angkat tangan. Yang pilih B angkat tangan. B di sini. Yang pilih C angkat tangan. Yang pilih D angkat tangan. Yang pilih E angkat tangan. Oh, ini saya agak curious. Saya ingin melihat siapa yang betul. Oke, Miss, tolong cek kira angkat tangan siapa yang betul. Oke, saya mau lihat siapa yang betul. Ini agak susah sebab kita belum belajar lagi ini. Jawabannya ialah C, seorang lelaki tua bernama Simeon. Yang pilih C tadi angkat tangan. Dan kita coba kira dulu berapa ramai orang yang betul mendapat jawabannya C. Tanya kepada mereka yang betul. Saya tidak tahu betul-betul kamu tahu atau kamu tembak. Hari ini kita akan belajar tentang Simeon. Oke? Tanya, jawabannya C. Next, nomor 9. Berikan gambaran tentang Hana. Oh, siapa ini Hana? Hana yang berada dalam bait suci. E, tiada dalam senarai. B, Hana seorang balu tua. C, semua dalam senarai. D, Hana berusia 84 tahun. Oh, Hana seorang nabia. Nabia ialah nabi. Nabi yang perempuan dipanggil nabia. Oke, nabi-nabi perempuan nabia. Jadi apakah jawabannya? Tiada dalam senarai, balu tua, semua dalam senarai maksudnya 3 ini. Balu tua, 84 tahun, dan nabia juga. Oke? Kita pilih. Oke, sedia yang E angkat tangan. Yang B angkat tangan. Yang C angkat tangan. Yang D angkat tangan. Yang I angkat tangan. Jawabannya ialah semua dalam senarai, ketiga-tiganya. Yang pilih C itu angkat tangan sekali lagi. Saya minta fasilitator kira dulu berapa orang yang betul supaya kita tahu. Oke, ini yang kita akan pelajari juga hari ini. Simeon dan Hana. Hana seorang balu tua, 84 tahun, dan Nabia. Siapakah ini? Kita pelajari hari ini. Soalan yang terakhir. Oke, soalan terakhir, soalan 10. Di manakah tempat Yesus membesar? Di manakah Yesus membesar? E, Yerusalem. B, Bethlehem. C, Nazaret. D, kawasan Bukit Yudea. E, di pesisiran pantai Galilea. Oh, apakah jawabannya? Mari angkat tangan yang memilih jawaban E. Yang pilih jawaban B, angkat tangan. Yang pilih C, Nazaret, angkat tangan. Yang pilih D, kawasan Bukit Yudea, angkat tangan. Dan yang pilih E, angkat tangan. Jawabannya ialah Nazaret. Oh, Tanya. Oke. Kepada semua pelajar, kira dulu berapa yang kamu dapat betul. Daripada 10 soalan, berapakah jawapan yang betul? Oke. Yang mendapat 5 betul, angkat tangan. Tanya. Tepuk tangan. Yang mendapat 6, angkat tangan. Tepuk tangan. Yang mendapat 7 betul, angkat tangan. Tepukan untuk mereka. Yang mendapat 8, sila angkat tangan. Syabas sebab mendapat banyak betul. Tanya. Yang mendapat 9 betul. Mari kita tepuk untuk mereka. Begitu pandai, begitu hebat jawapan mereka. Yang mendapat 10. 10 daripada 10 ke semuanya betul. Angkat tangan. Oh, ini mesti tepuk. Tania yang mendapat full mark. Okay? Alright. Harap kamu ada enjoy main quiz ini. Alright, jadi kalau mau lihat sendiri boleh pergi ke tempat sini, Pristine World, ada dash ya, Pristine World dash, saya kasih zoom in dulu. Nah, tidak dapat zoom in. Oke, pristineworld.com. Di dalam sini ada self-study, ada e-learning. Boleh melihat juga di sini ya. Oke, mari kita sambung balik kepada kita punya pembelajaran hari ini. Oke? Alright. Hari ini kita akan melihat kepada bahagian pertama. The first portion is from verse 31 to verse 40. Jesus is presented in the temple. Oke, ini adalah cerita yang pertama. Oke, sebelum kita mulakan, ada 2 worksheet hari ini. Ini adalah worksheet pertama. Jawapan di sini tolong isi. Jadi sini ada 3 marka, sini ada 6 marka, sini ada 4 marka, dan sini ada 7 marka. Jumlahnya kita ada 20 marka. Oke, ini nanti soalan homework kita akan melihat juga. Jadi as we go through the lessons, please write in the answers into your worksheets so that you are able to remember them better. Okay? Alright, let's begin by reading the verse. Okay, soalan cara yang samalah. Sama ada kamu mau sambung minggu lepas ataupun kita start balik begitu ya. Alright, kita baca daripada Lukas pasal 2 ayat 21 hingga ayat 40. Panjang cerita hari ini, okay? Alright, please start reading, 1 verse per students. Okay, time's up. If you haven't finished, boleh pauskan and then continue reading. Okay, pause the video and then continue reading until you finish. All right, let's move on. Okay, today we'll be looking at the story where Jesus and the family, you see this is Joseph, this is Mary and baby Jesus traveling to Jerusalem. Okay, let's have a look. Now, in that story, we noticed that they went to Jerusalem. Di mana Jerusalem? Here. Okay, so last week in our lesson, they were in Bethlehem. All right, they were in Bethlehem. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. If you look right and north, we cannot see it now, but above Samaria is the region of Galilee up here, where Joseph comes from a town called Nazareth. Now, we have no idea, we're not sure where they come from. In other words, we are not sure whether they come from now. Do they come from Bethlehem to Jerusalem? Or do they come from Nazareth to Jerusalem? If I want to guess, I think it's more likely that they come from Bethlehem, okay? This is after 40 days, right? We'll look at the dates a bit clearly later on. But in reality, we are not sure, okay? There are many guesses, there are many possibilities. There are few possibilities, and all of it is possible, okay? But, okay, right now they're traveling to Jerusalem, whether from Bethlehem or from Nazareth, or we're not sure, okay? But let's move on. Now, this is Jerusalem. Can you find Joseph, Mary, and the baby? Nah, sini, okay? Joseph, Mary, and baby Jesus. So in Jerusalem, they are doing what we call the three ceremonies, okay? So this section of the story you just read, when you have read verse 31 to verse 40, I want to separate into three portions. The first part is the ceremony rituals. The middle part, they met two persons, Simeon and Anna. Okay, we'll learn about Simeon and Anna later on. And lastly, we have the conclusion. So the first part, the ceremony rituals, the two person, and lastly the conclusion. Now, ceremony rituals is quite interesting because it's not something we are familiar with. Jarang kita dengar. So there are three. Okay, in verse 21, a week later, which is eighth day, when the time came for the baby to be circumcised. Okay, circumcised. So the first ritual is circumcision. Verse 22, the time came for Joseph and Mary to perform the ceremony of purification. Okay, second ritual. And thirdly, they took the child to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. Ada tiga di sini. All three is different. Now, what are they? They are separated differently. Circumcision is what we call sunat lah. Sunat. Di negara kita pun ada ritual sunat. Untuk Jews, orang Yahudi, sunat berlaku apabila baby itu berumur 8 hari. Okay, 8 hari. Di negara kita 12 tahun lah. So in this situation, the circumcision would be done not in Jerusalem. It's already done, okay? It's baby Jesus was already circumcised, already given the name Jesus. That was 8 days old, okay? 8 days old. So that will have been done, settled already. Ceremony of purification is actually a ceremony for the mother, all right? And then presentation of firstborn son. This is present firstborn to the Lord. Okay, so the Jews got these three things they have to follow: circumcision, untuk ibu, ceremony of purification, and the firstborn son, it will be a presentation. So if you want more information, you will look at this if you're interested. Circumcision, if you read Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1 to 3, it talks a little bit about that. It's for all boys. Okay, all boys must be circumcised on the 8th day. So this is for Jesus. Ceremony of purification is for all mothers, okay, or for all mothers, in this case for Mary. If you read Leviticus chapter 12, verse 4 to 8, you actually have different days. If they give birth to a boy, the mother will be unclean for 40 days, and on the 41st day, will have to do this ceremony of purification. This is when they will give an offering, a sacrifice. The parents would have to do a sacrifice by offering to God a lamb and a pigeon or dove. So two things, okay? Lamb and pigeon or lamb of dove. But if the family is poor, you have an or. So for those who are poor, they can replace the lamb with a pigeon or dove. So poor people, instead of giving a sacrifice of a lamb, which is sangat mahal, okay? Even today, you want to get a big, a whole lamb, okay? A roast lamb, wah, mahal kan? Beratus, 1,000 lebih tu. Okay, so it's expensive. So the poor cannot afford it. So they replace the lamb with a pigeon or a dove. So they can offer to God a pair of pigeon or a pair of dove. All right. So if you want to read more, it's quite interesting. If they give birth to a daughter, different days, give birth to a son, different days. All right. Now, for presentation of firstborn, this is only for the firstborn son. Okay, firstborn son. This one comes from, remember, in Egypt, the firstborn was killed, as well as in the desert, where the Levites were chosen to serve God. All right, so this is God's belongs to God lah. So they must redeem the firstborn. You can read from Exodus 34 verse 19 to 20, Numbers chapter 18 verse 15 to 20, or you can also read extra here, Leviticus 27 verse 3 to 8. In Leviticus 27, it shows the price. Okay, if above certain age is how much. So I have summarized for you. The presentation of a firstborn son is 5 shekels. Okay, 5 shekels. But if they are poor, the priest, the imam in the temple, can decide the fair price for them. Maybe it's cheaper, maybe no need to pay. All right. So depends on their socio-economic background, depends on how poor or how rich they are. Okay. But this ceremony of presenting the firstborn son happens after 30 days. So in the story that we read, circumcision happened already. Now they are going to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, they are doing 2 ceremonies. They are going to combine 2 ceremonies for the mother and for Jesus. Okay. So in the story that we read, Joseph and Mary went and offered a sacrifice. What did they sacrifice? A pair of doves or 2 young pigeons. Now, what is this? If you look back here, it's actually the ceremony of purification. Presentation of firstborn is 5 shekels. These 2 young pigeons or a pair of doves is a sacrifice by the mother for the ceremony of purification. I want you to notice, apa kita perasan sini? Choice ialah lamb and pigeon or dove, ataupun a pair of pigeon, a pair of dove. Yang diberikan oleh Joseph and Mary ialah, ada lamb kah? Tiada lamb. Lihat, hanya sepasang burung sahaja. Apakah maksud ini? The question is this. In your worksheet, there is this question that says, what does the sacrifice tells us about Joseph and Mary's socio-economic background? Melalui offering mereka, apa yang boleh kita pelajari tentang Joseph dan Mary? Jawapannya ialah because they are poor. They are poor. So Joseph and Mary's offering of a pair of doves or pigeons show us that they are poor. Sebenarnya mereka tidak kaya. Mereka miskin, oleh itu mereka boleh memberikan sepasang pigeon. This is because, okay, dalam setiap jawapan kebat, setiap jawapan hot question, bukan saja bagi jawapannya sahaja di sini, tetapi mesti ada penjelasan, mesti ada elaboration. So this is because in the ceremony of purification, tengok saya sebut ceremony of purification, they are to offer a lamb and a dove or pigeon. Only the poor are allowed to bring 2 doves or pigeons instead. Oleh itu, menunjukkan bahawa mereka adalah poor. Okay, I'll give you some time here. Can you please, what's that called? Please copy this into your paper. I will put the time here. So, salin jawapan ini dulu, okay? Kalau sudah siap salin, boleh forward video ini ya, sebab masih ada 3 minit lagi. Oke, mari kita sambung. Alright, so we have done the ceremony rituals. Okay, this one done already. Now we'll go next to Simeon and Anna. Alright, Simeon, let's learn about Simeon. So in verse 25, at that time where there was a man named Simeon living in Jerusalem. 25, he was a good, God-fearing man and was waiting for Israel to be saved. Very interesting man this guy is, okay? He's a good man, he's a God-fearing man, and he's waiting. This guy is famous for his waiting. The Holy Spirit, now why was he waiting? Because the Holy Spirit was with him and had told him, assured him that he would not die. Orang tua ini dia sangat confident dia tidak akan mati sehingga he had seen the Lord's promised Messiah. So this guy is just waiting to see the Lord's Messiah, and after he see the Lord's Messiah, he can die already, okay? So his whole purpose of life now is just to wait and see. Is allowed to see the Lord's promised Messiah. Very interesting, okay? So 4 things about Simeon. Please write it into your worksheet as well, okay? Write into your worksheet. All right, let's continue. Okay, so verse 37, led by the Spirit. Okay, satu hari itu dia menerima pimpinan Roh Kudus. Okay, so hari itu, led by the Spirit, Simeon went into the temple. When the parents brought the child Jesus into the temple to do for him what the law required. Do for Jesus what the law required, which is the presentation of the firstborn son, right? But at this time, Simeon was there. And at that point, when Simeon saw him, what did he do? Simeon took the child in his arms. Wah, dari jauh dia tahu. Wah, this is that baby. Ramai-ramai orang di Jerusalem. Dia tahu sebab dia dibawa oleh pimpinan Roh Kudus dan dia membawa Jesus. He took the child in his arms and gave thanks to God. What did he say? Look at what he says. Now, Lord, you have kept your promise. Apa promise itu? Promise bahwa Simeon will not die until he see the Lord's Messiah. You have kept your promise. Wow, I have finally seen. Okay, so you may let your servant go in peace. Dia lawak juga ini kan. You have kept your promise, God. Saya boleh mati sudah, dia bilang. With my own eyes ini, with my own eyes, finally my eyes, okay, dengan mata sendiri, I have seen your salvation. Merujuk kepada Jesus, menggunakan mata sendiri saya nampak, this is your salvation. Begitu kuat iman dia. Which you have prepared in the presence of all people. Dia sedang mengkabarkan tentang penyelamatan ataupun keselamatan. Keselamatan ini apa? Tadi kita menjawab soalan bukan keselamatan kemerdekaan, tetapi keselamatan daripada dosa-dosa. Lihat ini. A light to reveal your will to the Gentiles and bring glory to your people Israel. Bukan kemerdekaan Israel ini, tetapi keselamatan semua manusia. And then the child's father and mother were amazed. Sangat terkejut kan? Kamu bayangkan, kalau kamu adalah Joseph dan Mary. Pada waktu itu semua macam pelik. Mary terima kabar bahawa dia sudah mengandung, tetapi tiada lelaki. Wah, Joseph mau kasih divorce Mary, tetapi dalam mimpi dapati ini anak Tuhan. Tapi sangat pelik sebab message ini tidak dibagi tahu kepada semua orang, kepada beberapa orang saja, kepada gembala, kepada Yusuf, kepada Mary, dan sekarang mereka di encourage lagi that the things that they have heard so far is real, is correct. This is the Son of God. When the gembala, when the shepherds came and says, "Hey, this is what we heard from the angels, that this is Jesus Christ. This is the Messiah that we're waiting for." What an encouragement to Joseph and Mary. And now, after 40 days from the shepherds, 40 days later, now they hear from Simeon saying the same thing again. Wow. They were amazed at the things Simeon said about Jesus. And then Simeon blessed them, not just the baby, but the parents, and said to Mary, his mother, what did he say? He says this, "This child is chosen by God for the destruction and salvation of many in Israel. He will be a sign from God, which many people will speak against, and so reveal their secret thoughts, and sorrow like a sharp sword will break your heart." Mari saya tolong kamu fahami apa yang dikatakan di sini. Okay, there are three parts. The last part, and sorrow like a sharp sword will break your heart. Kenapa? Sebab Mary akan melihat kematian Yesus. Oh, begitu sorrowful. Mary will be so sad, full of sorrow, because her heart will be broken when she sees the death of Jesus Christ on the cross. Okay, this is for Mary. The first and second talks about Jesus and everyone else. You see, Jesus is chosen by God for what? For destruction. Pelik kan? We always say that Jesus comes for the salvation of many, which is this part, and the salvation of many. But why destruction? Because Jesus reveals the secret thoughts here. When we respond to Jesus and we respond by faith and belief, that is salvation. But when we respond to Jesus and we reject Jesus, we don't want Jesus and we disbelieve him, we refuse to put our faith in him, that one will be not salvation but destruction, depending on our response. I want to look at this question here. This is a section C, part 1 question. I want to give you this question as homework today. Last lesson, the homework, some of you have already handed up. I will mark it and I'll return to you again. Those who have belum hantar, please make sure you hand in your answers, okay, to your facilitator. Right, the question is this. The message of the gospel is salvation through Jesus alone. And in our response to Jesus, there is no neutral ground. We either joyfully accept or totally reject. Jadi tadi kita baca destruction or salvation. Jesus come, the gospel, the good news is salvation, but it depends on our response to Jesus. If we joyfully accept him, that would mean salvation to us. But if we totally reject him, that would mean destruction to us. So, which are you right now? Which are you, and why do you respond like this? Share your honest answers. Okay, write in one paragraph, satu perenggan, lebih kurang setengah muka surat ataupun satu muka surat penuh. Biasanya tidak sampai 300 patah perkataan. So satu perenggan saja, jawab ini as specific as possible, give examples, give elaboration, explain, give your honest answer. Okay, just share your honest answer. You can say that I joyfully accept it because, or I totally reject it because. Okay, this is already in your worksheet, tidak payah salin. Jadi tolong jawab ini dalam buku kerja kamu. Okay, answer this in your logbook. Okay, start on a new page, write the question, salin the question into your logbook, and write the tarikh. All right. Now, let's move on to the next person. Just now we have learned about Simeon. Now we learn about Anna. Who is this Anna? Anna, in verse 36, was told to us there was a very old prophet, Nabiah, a widow. She's a widow named Anna. She's a daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. Wah, panjang ini, sangat spesifik. All right. Now, she had been married for only berapa tahun dia sudah kawin? Waktu dia muda dulu, dia sudah pernah kawin. Tetapi hanya 7 tahun. When she was married at a young age, she has only been 7 years with her husband, and then her husband passed away. So just 7 years, her husband passed away. And since then, since her husband passing away, until now, how old is she? Until she's 84 years old. Wow, lama. She never left the temple. Day and night, she worshiped God, fasting and praying. Sejak husband dia pass away, she stayed in the temple. Now, we are not told how long or how old she was when the husband passed away. So kita tidak tahu berapa tahun she stayed in the temple. Tapi agak, kita boleh mengagak. Katakanlah dia kawin waktu dia 20 tahun. Okay, I think during that time, most of them get married earlier. But it's okay. Let's say they get married 20 years old, and then for 7 years with her husband, and the husband passed away. 27 to 84, that is 57 years. For more than 50 years, she stayed in the temple. And what does she do for 50 years in the temple? She worshiped God day and night. She had a lot of fasting. She had a lot of praying. She is just concentrated on God. Wow, this woman is amazing, right? Okay, so there are 7 things that we know about Anna. Please write in your worksheet. Okay, write in your worksheet. I'll give you 3 minutes. All right, let's continue. Now, in verse 38, that very same hour, this is the same day, same time as Simeon, okay? But right after Simeon, that very same hour, she arrived and gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were waiting for God to set Jerusalem free. Wow, she came, she saw the baby, and she told to all. So, kepada siapa? To all who were waiting. I think not just Simeon, not just Simeon is waiting, but there's some people there who are waiting for God to set Jerusalem free. Cuma yang ini agak general, tidak tahu mereka tunggu Jesus untuk savior of man's sin, or some of them waiting for Independence Day of Israel. Okay, ini agak tercampur. Okay, but she tell all those who are waiting for the Messiah. There's a group of people. There are people who are waiting for the Messiah, and she talked about Jesus, that baby. Okay, so we are done. Ceremony rituals, the three: circumcision, ceremony of purification, presentation of the firstborn son. Simeon, Anna, we have done. And in conclusion, at the end of this story, and so when Joseph and Mary had finished doing all that was required by the law of the Lord, they returned to their hometown of Nazareth in Galilee. Okay, ini fast forward sudah. There's a lot of information that Luke has skipped. Sebab now we see that 12 years will pass by, 12 tahun, okay? There's a lot of things missing in this story. So we know if you look at Matthew and the other gospel, when you combine the story, basically is that when Jesus was born the same night, we have the shepherds. And then not long after that, we have the ceremony of circumcision, which is the 8th day. And probably at the 40 days, 41st day, they go Jerusalem. And after Jerusalem, where did they go? We are not sure. Some says Nazareth, some says back to Bethlehem for a while before they go back to Nazareth. But what happened is that after the 40 days, the wise men came. So it's most personally, I think, that after the 40 days ceremony, they went back to Bethlehem first. Then the wise men came and visit them. Then King Herod killed all the babies under 2 years old. So this one is before Jesus was 2 years old. So they ran to Egypt. Joseph had a dream. They ran to Egypt. So after 2 years old, they were in Egypt. Maybe for a few years when Herod the Great died. Maybe umur mungkin 4 tahun, 6 tahun gitu. Then Joseph bring the family back to Nazareth. So Jesus grew up in Nazareth, but from his younger days, very, very young days, he was actually in Egypt. So Bethlehem, Egypt, Nazareth. So in this verse, return to Nazareth memang kena fast forward lah. Ini sudah speed up punya cerita, okay? And then what happened? Cerita 12 tahun ini, Luke summarized in one verse. The child grew and became strong. He was full of wisdom and God's blessing was upon him. Wah, 4 lah. So the child grew, membesar dengan sihat, became strong. Bukan saja sihat, tapi kuat. Minum milo Anda jadi sihat dan kuat. Inilah. He was full of wisdom, bukan saja sihat dan kuat dari segi jasmani, dia juga bijaksana. And God's blessing. Ini full of berkat Tuhan. Alright, so 4 things. Now, we're going to move on to the next part of the story, of the last portion of chapter 2. Jesus staying back at the temple, okay? So, Jesus staying back at the temple. Now, before we read, we're going to play a game, okay? Kita akan buat activity dulu. So, I want you to keep your book, keep your pencil. We're going to play a game now, okay? We're going to play a game. The name of this game is called Find the Leader. Okay, simpan dulu barang kamu di tepi. Kita akan play satu game ya. So, find the leader. Cara bermain game ini begitu. First, I want you to choose one person to go out of the room. Okay, choose one person to go out of the room. And then selepas orang ini keluar dari dalam bilik, you choose one leader. Okay, jangan keluar dari bilik dulu. Tunggu saya siap jelaskan baru keluar dari bilik. Okay, so you choose one leader and dia mesti ikut dia punya action. Kalau leader tepuk tangan, semua orang mesti ikut tepuk tangan, jangan stop tepuk tangan. Lepas tu leader itu tukar action, pegang telinga contohnya, dia pegang telinga, semua orang ikut pegang telinga. Lepas tu dia letak picit hidung. Jadi leader tu picit hidung, semua ikut picit hidung. Lepas tu leader tu berdiri, semua ikut berdiri. Jadi begitu. Sambil leader buat action itu dan dia tukar action itu, semua kena pastikan ikut. Dan orang yang dari luar bilik itu bila dia masuk, dia mesti cari leader itu. Okay, dalam masa 3 minit, dia mesti cari leader itu. Kalau dia berjaya cari leader itu, maka dia menang. Kalau dia tidak berjaya cari leader itu, maka kamu semua satu grup menang bersama. Okay, jadi dalam grup itu, kamu mesti support leader kamu. Kena pastikan dia tidak tertangkap. Orang yang masuk balik daripada di luar bilik, kamu ada 3 chance. Okay, kamu ada 3 peluang dalam 3 minit ini, kamu boleh membuat 3 tekaan. Okay, you get 3 chances to guess who is the leader. Okay, so now please cari satu volunteer dulu. Siapa mau keluar bilik? Okay, alright. Okay, keluar bilik. Okay, yang sudah ada volunteer ini, sila keluar daripada bilik dulu. Keluar daripada bilik. Tutup pintu, jangan tengok, jangan curi tengok, jangan curi dengar, okay? Okay, after this person has go out the door, now those of you who are inside the room right now, okay, choose a leader. Point to the person that you want to be a leader. Point to the person that you want to be a leader, okay? Alright, point to the person. Dan jangan sebut nama dia, nanti orang di luar tu dapat dengar, okay? Jangan sebut nama dia, alright? So once you have the leader, every one of you sit in a circle, okay? Sit in a circle. Alright, sit in a circle and then leader start tepuk tangan. Gitu. Semua ikut dia tepuk tangan. Okay, bila sudah sit in a circle dan sudah tepuk tangan, facilitator tolong benarkan bahawa orang yang di luar bilik tu masuk. Okay, saya akan pause. Lepas ini kamu buat 3 kali ya. 3 kali, 3 volunteer keluar bilik, 3 volunteer leader. Okay. Okey, macam mana kasih habis game tu? Sudah berjaya cari? Harap-harap kamu sudah dapat main 3 kali lah kan? 3 orang di luar dan 3 leader. Kalau belum habis, boleh pause video ini, kasih habis round terakhir dulu, okay? Alright, okay. I hope you had a great time playing the game. So finding the leader. Now, the reason I let you play this game is because in this story that we're going to read today, it's about the parents looking for Jesus. Okay, so I want you to first read from verse 41 to verse 52. Sambung dari mana kamu stop tadi. Siapa-siapa last tadi itu kita sambung di sini. So 3 minutes. Please read this portion, okay? 3 minutes, Luke 2, verse 41 to 52. Okay, all right, let's move on. So this is worksheet number 2 for lesson 2, 18 marks, okay? So you fill in the points as well. All right, in verse 41, every year, okay, tiap tahun, the parents of Jesus will go to Jerusalem every year, all right? So every year they will go to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. Everybody say Passover. Passover ini apa dia? All right, the Israel, there are 7 feasts of the Lord from Leviticus chapter 23. I want to look at the 3 major festivals, which is called the Passover festival, the Pentecost festival, as well as the Feast of Tabernacles. These 3 major ones, this is somewhere in March, April. This is sometimes in May, June, and this sometime in September, October, all right? The three major feasts actually is this one, but it's actually a combination of the seven major feasts, seven main feasts lah, okay? So Passover is Passover, unleavened bread, and the Feast of First Fruit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what we call as the seventh feast of the Lord, Leviticus 23. So because Passover is day 1, unleavened bread is day 2 to day 8, and first fruit is day 2. So this one during the time of Jesus has been combined into one single festivities. Sometimes they call Passover, sometimes they call unleavened bread. It's the same thing. It refers to these 8 days of celebration. And so in this text, it was told to us that Joseph and Jesus, every year, they went to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. Okay, so remember they are from Nazareth, they travel south. The other two one is Pentecost, as well as this one is the Feast of Tabernacles. So just remember this name so that when you read it, you can identify the feast. Okay. All right, so write it in your worksheet. So every year they travel from Nazareth, they travel down together. Okay, they jalan kaki, ada sedikit kuda, ada sedikit wagon, tapi kebanyakannya mereka berjalan kaki. Yang ada duit sedikit boleh duduk donkey lah. Okay, mereka berjalan bersama-sama. They usually travel together because it's better for protection. Better for safety, okay? Because there's a lot of people, then there is safety in groups against robbers, against bad guys, all right? So this time, the cerita is when Jesus is 12 years old. Now, this is important. I will explain to you why is it so special this year. Why is it not 11 years old, 9 years old? Why is it 12 years old? Okay, because this is the time that they didn't notice. This particular event happened at Jesus 12 years old. Now, they went to the festival. What festival? Passover. Okay, Passover festival as usual. So they'll be there for 8 days, 8 days celebration of Passover. Now, when the 8 days festival was over, the feast was over, they started back home to Nazareth. But look at this. Jesus stayed in Jerusalem. Dia tidak ikut. Dia stay back. And the thing is, the parents did not know. Kenapa parents didn't know? We will look at it soon. Okay, the parents did not know this. So, they thought that he was with the group, ramai orang kan. They thought he's somewhere in the group. So they traveled berapa lama? Whole day. Dari pagi mereka travel sampai malam, petang sudah set up camp. Bila sudah ada camp, baru dapati, mana itu budak? Mana Jesus? And they started looking for him among the group, among their relatives, among their friends, and nobody seen Jesus. And so Joseph and Mary did not find him. So they went back to Jerusalem looking for him. All right. First thing we need to think about is bagaimanakah boleh terjadi begini? How did they not notice that Jesus was missing? Okay, there are two main things that happen that caused this to be possible. Number one, they travel in a big group. Look at the picture. A lot of them, their families are there, their uncle, auntie, grandpa, grandchild, cucu, everybody travel together. Their friends travel together. There's a large group of people from Nazareth traveling together. And so, bila group tu besar, ramai, mereka tidak tahu bahwa Jesus was not there because they thought Jesus was somewhere in the group. Now, why is this so special for 12 years old? We need to understand this celebration. The Jews got this celebration called Bar Mitzvah. Bar Mitzvah is when a boy, when he reached 13 years old, he is officially adult. So every time a boy birthday 13 years old, they say, okay, the father will come, the leader of the community will come, the religious leader will come and says, okay, now we have the Bar Mitzvah ceremony for the boy. From today onwards, the boy is adult. So before 13 years old, the boy spent time with the mother. After 13 years old, the boy spent time with the school or with the father. All right. So there is a shift. Before 13 years old, dia budak kecil. Spend time with the mother, doing house chores, doing a home, okay? After 13 years old, he's going to start learning about the Torah. He's going to learn about the scriptures. He's going to learn from the father how to do the occupation. If the father is a carpenter like Joseph, then Jesus will learn the wood, how to gergaji, how to paku. If the father is a nelayan, then a fisherman, then the boy will learn how to fish. So after 13 years old, he will spend time with the men of the community. Before 13 years old, he will spend time with the ladies of the community, the women. So if you think about it, at 12 years old is the preparation, 1 year preparation, the transition years lah. So bila dia 12 tahun, sometimes he spend the time with the father, sometimes he spend the time with the mother in preparation for bar mitzvah. So the story is like this. When they are traveling in a big group, the father thinks that this boy, 12 years old, is spending the time with the mother. Because before 13 years old, they spend most of their time with the mother. Before 12 years old, they spend all their time with the mother. So Joseph thinks that Jesus must be with the mommy. The mommy will think that Jesus with the daddy, because after 13 years old, all his time will be with the daddy. And so Mary must have thought that Jesus, for this period, is spending time with the father. So Bapa thinking that Jesus is with the mommy, mother thinking that Jesus is with the daddy, so the mothers is with the ladies together, the father is with the men together, and so nobody noticed that Jesus is not around. And that's how that they cannot find Jesus until late evening. Now, in verse 46, on the third day, kenapa begitu lama? Okay, the third day is because the first day, they leave Jerusalem. Sepanjang hari sampai petang, sampai camping. So Joseph and Mary cannot travel at night. So they will have slept. Well, I can imagine their worry. They would have slept. And then next morning, early morning, they travel. 1 day traveling, so take 1 day come back. So take whole day, they finally reach Jerusalem. Tapi bila sampai Jerusalem, malam sudah. Terpaksa tidur. Because Jerusalem is big, they don't know where Jesus is. Is Jesus in one of the houses? Is Jesus in the street? Where in Jerusalem is Jesus? So next morning, the third day, they woke up and then they spend the whole third day looking for Jesus. But I want you to think about this cerita first for a while. Can you imagine the worry that is in Jesus' parents' hearts? Joseph and Mary must have been worried. Saya teringat masa adik saya hilang di KL dulu. Waktu dia masih kecil, when he went in the lift, dia masuk to elevator, dia satu orang di dalam, lepas tu dia hilang. Wah, begitu ketakutan kami. Sebab, how to find? Waktu dulu tiada handphone itu kan? Don't have phone, don't know where he is, don't know where to start looking. Wah, begitu takut. And during Jesus' time, it's the same. They don't have handphone. You cannot call and say, Jesus, where are you? I meet you here. Cannot. There is nowhere to contact one another. So imagine the worry of Joseph and Mary. And as they was looking for Jesus the whole third day, finally they found him in the where? Not in the city, not in the roadside, not in the town. They found him in the temple. Wow, pelik. What a weird place for a boy to be. Let's look at the temple first. This is how the temple of Herod looked like. This is during the time of Jesus, okay? So this is the Holy of Holies. This is the outer courts. This is the Nicanor Gate. This is the beautiful gate. I'll talk to you more about the temple, okay? But outside the temple, this is called the Temple Mount. Dia ada tempat luas untuk ramai orang. Tengok orang tu kecil saja. And all these places here, di tepi ini, is called the Solomon's Porticos. The Solomon Porticos, there are many scribes, teachers of the laws. They will sit here. Another one will sit here. They will spend time teaching and discussing about the scriptures, about the law, about the ceremonies, about the culture. They will sit there. And so where is Jesus? Jesus is with one group of the teachers. Look at that. They found him sitting with the Jewish teachers. They were sitting there, and this guy, Jesus, is also sitting there, sitting with them. And he was listening to them, and he was asking them questions, and he was also giving his own answers. And his questions, his answers were so amazing. And the teachers of the law who heard him were amazed. Wow, boleh tahan budak ini. Just 12 years old. I want you to write these answers into your worksheet. What was Jesus doing? 4, sitting with the Jewish teachers. Number 2, listening to them, asking questions, and giving intelligent answers. Sitting, listening, asking, giving answers. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute to salin. Okay, all right. Mari kita teruskan. And in verse 48, his parents were astonished when they saw him. And his mother said to him, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been terribly worried trying to find you." Ayo, kami sangat risau. And then Jesus' answer was this. He answered them, "Why did you have to look for me? Didn't you know that I had to be in my father's house?" Jawabannya sangat innocent. Kenapa kamu cari? Bukan ketarakah bahwa saya akan di temple? Where could I be? Dia punya innocence lah. But they did not understand his answer. Kenapa? Kenapa bagi dia begitu ketara? Why is it that Jesus must be in the Father's house? Now, his answer is very special. Sebab not many people will want to be in the temple, number 1. And number 2, nobody will call God their Father. Okay, so we're going to answer this question together, all right? I want you to silent answer. But the question is this. Why is it significant? What is the significance of Jesus calling the temple as his Father's house? Why is it so special when Jesus say his Father's house? The answer is this. Salin ya, jawabannya. Jesus' answer shows that early in his life, he already knew the need for him to be in God's house and that he has a special relationship with God. Dari kecil lagi, Yesus sudah tahu bahwa dia anak Tuhan. Yesus sudah tahu begitu pentingnya meluangkan masa dengan Tuhan. Okay? Now, he claims to be the Son of God, hence claiming divinity. Divinity maksudnya Tuhan. In those days, nobody calls God their Father because it would mean that they are God themselves. Sekarang kita semua panggil anak Tuhan, anak Tuhan. Tetapi pada waktu itu, anak Tuhan, tiada orang sebut mereka anak Tuhan sebab anak Tuhan itu Tuhan. So even at a young age, Jesus knew his identity as anak Tuhan. He is the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Mary also knew because the shepherds told her, Simeon told her, Anna told her, the angel Gabriel told her, the angel in Joseph's dreams also said the same thing. She knew, the parents knew that this boy is the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And it shows here in this story that Jesus himself, at a young age, at the age of 12, already know that he is the Messiah. Okay? Alright, salin jawapan ini dulu. Okay, let's move on. So in verse 51, so Jesus went back with them to Nazareth, where he was obedient to them. Now, just in case you think that Jesus is very naughty, ini budak sangat naughty. The Bible tells us clearly, Dr. Luke, the author, says that no, he was not. He was obedient to them. The significance was not of his disobedience, but on his special relationship with God. Okay, so he was very obedient. And the mother treasured all these things in her heart. She remembered that Jesus at 12 years old said, "Don't you know I have to be in my Father's house?" She knew the significance that this boy is the Messiah. So in verse 52, just now was daripada 0 hingga 12 tahun. Sekarang in verse 52, summarize, sebab from Jesus 12 years old until 30 years old, tiada cerita sudah. So this is a conclusion. This is a summary. From 12 tahun, 30 tahun, apa yang terjadi di kehidupan Yesus? Jesus grew, again, 4 things. Jesus grew both in the body and in wisdom, and gaining favor with God and with people. So I want you to write this answer, okay? There's 4 things for Jesus in your worksheet. Jesus grew in body, Jesus grew in wisdom, Jesus was gaining favor with God and gaining favor with the people. Okay, I bagi you 1 minute, all right? 1 minute. All right, we're going to end soon. Now, we have learned about Jesus' childhood years, okay, from 0 to 12 and 12 to 30 years old. And this is the conclusion. Just now at 12 years old, there are other conclusion. Jesus grew sihat, and Jesus grew strong. And then he was, what was it already? Receive God's blessings. He is full of wisdom. Now we got continuation. He grew in body, wisdom, and gaining of favor with God and gaining favor with the people. You can see that he relates to people well. Okay, so this is the conclusion today. Waktu dia kecil, the all of Jesus' life, born in Bethlehem, went to Jerusalem for the ceremony of purification, presentation of firstborn. Tidak termasuk dalam Lukas, but Jesus and the family, Joseph brought them escaping from Herod the Great to Egypt, but tidak adalah dalam buku ini, tetapi Matius, alright? Then when they went back to Nazareth, Jesus grew in body, Jesus grew in wisdom, gaining favor with God and gaining favor with the people. All right, so that's all for today. Don't forget your homework. Please write and pass to your facilitator, okay? Pass to your miss, and then they will take photo and send your homework to me so I can mark your answer. For those of you who haven't passed in last week one, please make sure you do as well. For the 2 worksheets, please hand to your facilitator. They will mark it and return it to you, okay? All right, that's all for today. I hope you have enjoyed lesson 2 together. I will see you again in our lesson 3. Take care. Goodbye.